It's time to feed the belugas.
Someone sound the alarm!
911, what's your emergency?
There's blood in the water! She's not coming out! Please, someone help her!
Hurry, hurry!
On a quiet morning in 2012, inside Chicago's world-renowned Shedd Aquarium, the day began like any other. The water shimmered under the soft lights, and what was expected to be a routine training session promised nothing more than another graceful display between human and whale. The trainer's name was Jessica Morgan, a passionate marine mammal specialist who had devoted years of her life to studying and caring for whales. The young beluga in her care was Bella, a playful and curious juvenile who had quickly become a favorite among the staff. Together, they had built a bond that seemed unshakable. But that morning, something shifted. What began as harmless play suddenly escalated into a moment of shock and fear, leaving those who witnessed it frozen in disbelief. But what happened beneath the water's surface that day? And why did Bella, the playful beluga, suddenly turn on the trainer she trusted most? This is the shocking story of the beluga attack on trainer Jessica Morgan at Shedd Aquarium. The day Bella the Beluga tested the limits of trust between human and animal. Stay with us to the very end, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss stories the aquariums tried to keep hidden. The Shedd Aquarium, standing proudly on the shores of Lake Michigan in Chicago, is more than just a building filled with tanks. It's a cathedral of marine life, a place where millions of visitors, from children on school trips to lifelong ocean enthusiasts, come face to face with creatures most will never encounter in the wild. For decades, one of its crown jewels has been the beluga whale exhibit. These white whales, with their striking color, rounded foreheads, and constant chatter, have drawn crowds in awe. Belugas seem to smile, they seem to sing, and they seem, at least on the surface, approachable, almost friendly. But beneath that playful image lies something far more unpredictable. They've been called the canaries of the sea, not just because of their bird-like vocalizations, but because of the range and beauty of the sounds they produce. They chirp, whistle, and click, filling the water with a symphony of life. Yet behind those joyful sounds was a strength that trainers could never afford to forget. Belugas, though smaller than orcas, are still predators. Still wild, still powerful, and still capable of turning in an instant. Among the trainers who dedicated their lives to these whales was Jessica Morgan. Young, passionate, and fiercely devoted, Jessica had always felt a pull toward the ocean. Even though she grew up in the heart of the Midwest, working with whales was more than a career to her, it was a calling. But in answering that calling, Jessica was stepping daily into a world where danger was always waiting just beneath the surface. Inside Shedd, Jessica quickly earned the respect of her colleagues. She wasn't the loudest or the most commanding presence on the team, but what set her apart was her calm, patient energy. She listened to the animals. She studied their body language, their moods, their rhythms. Where others might rush through a routine, Jessica took her time, moving carefully, always aware that behind those dark, intelligent eyes was a mind every bit as complex as hers, and sometimes just as unpredictable. And then there was Bella. Bella the Beluga was a juvenile, born in captivity, curious about everything, still learning the world around her. Trainers often described her as spirited, playful one moment, stubborn the next. Jessica and Bella had developed a special connection. Many at Shedd noticed it, how Bella responded to Jessica's signals, how she lingered near her at the pool's edge, how their interactions seemed less like training sessions and more like a dialogue between two beings trying to understand each other. But bonds like these, as history has shown, can shatter in an instant, because the line between trust and danger with any marine mammal, no matter how gentle their reputation, is always razor thin. It was a quiet morning in 2012, inside the sprawling halls of the Shedd Aquarium. The crowds had not yet arrived. The stands were empty, the chatter of visitors absent. Behind closed doors, it was just the trainers, the staff, and the whales. Jessica Morgan stepped onto the slick concrete edge of the shallow training pool, her wetsuit clinging to her frame, her breath visible in the cool, conditioned air. She carried with her a bucket of fish and the calm confidence that came from years of training. For her, this was routine. For the whales, it was structure, an anchor in the artificial world of captivity. But routines, no matter how familiar, can be broken in the blink of an eye. That morning, Jessica was working with Bella, the young beluga she had grown so close to. The session was meant to be simple. Target training, hand signals, reinforcement with fish. To the untrained eye, it looked like play. To Jessica, it was communication, a dialogue built on trust. Yet even the strongest dialogue can fracture without warning. At first, Bella responded exactly as expected. She moved gracefully through the water, her smooth white body gliding like a ghost beneath the surface. She followed the target pole, bobbed her head, and chirped softly as she earned her rewards. Playful, curious, engaged. But then, something changed. Witnesses later recalled that Bella's demeanor shifted in an instant. Her movements became sharper, her gaze more focused. Instead of following Jessica's hand signal toward the target, Bella's dark eyes locked on Jessica's hand itself, the one holding the silvery fish. And in that instant, everyone nearby felt the atmosphere tighten, as though the pool itself sensed what was about to happen. For a few seconds, there was only silence, broken only by the sound of water lapping at the pool's edge. Then in a flash, Bella surged forward, breaking the surface in a spray of foam, and clamped her jaws around Jessica's hand. The room erupted in chaos. Trainers on the sidelines shouted, clapped their hands, tried desperately to redirect Bella's attention. Some waved targets, others called her name, their voices trembling between command and panic. But nothing could break the lock of Bella's grip. Jessica's body tensed. Pain shot through her arm, but she didn't scream. She knew, every instinct in her told her, that the worst thing she could do was fight. Pulling away might provoke Bella further. She forced herself to remain calm, her mind racing through the steps drilled into every trainer. Don't panic, don't pull, don't escalate. Still, a terrifying question hung in the air. Would Bella let go, or drag Jessica beneath the surface? Bella's bite was not the bone-crushing grip of an orca, but it was far from harmless. Her teeth dug into Jessica's skin, puncturing flesh, holding her firmly. Even as a juvenile, Bella carried the strength of a creature built to survive in the Arctic seas, to tear through fish with ease. Seconds dragged on like an eternity. Trainers shouted. Bella held firm. Jessica's heart pounded in her chest, but she steadied her breathing, focusing on staying in control. And then, just as suddenly as it had begun, Bella released. The water stilled. Jessica pulled her hand free, crimson drops mixing with the pool's blue. She held it against her chest, blood trickling from the bite marks. Her face was pale, her body trembling, yet she remained composed, refusing to collapse in fear. In that moment, everyone present was forced to confront a truth they already knew, but rarely spoke aloud. Even a beluga, a species celebrated for its gentle image, can unleash the raw, unpredictable power of the wild. Jessica was rushed out of the training pool and immediately treated by the aquarium's medical staff. At first, no one knew how bad it was. Trainers rushed to her side, fearing the worst. A series of puncture wounds, bruising, and swelling around her hand and wrist. Nothing life-threatening, no shattered bones, no permanent disability. On the surface, it might have seemed like an incident easily brushed aside. Just another workplace accident, quickly managed and quietly filed away. But for the trainers who had been there, for those who had heard the sound of Bella's jaws snapping shut, for those who had seen Jessica's face tighten in silent pain, the moment cut much deeper, because behind the polished glass of public shows, behind the carefully rehearsed routines and smiling faces, every trainer knew the truth. No matter how long you work with marine mammals, no matter how strong the bond feels, no matter how many times the routines play out perfectly, these are still wild animals. Animals with instincts millions of years older than human history. Animals whose minds we cannot fully predict, and whose power we cannot fully control. Inside the aquarium's official reports, Jessica's name was never released. To the outside world, to the media, it was framed in the simplest of terms: a minor incident with a trainer, a line of text, a footnote, something easy to overlook. But behind closed doors, among the trainers themselves, it was not so easily forgotten. The story of Bella and Jessica became a quiet but powerful lesson, whispered in locker rooms, repeated in safety briefings, carried as an unspoken warning to new recruits. Trainers reminded each other that belugas, though marketed as safe and gentle, could cross a dangerous line. And that line wasn't always visible. It could appear in a flash, in a moment of curiosity turned aggression, in a split second when trust gave way to instinct. For Jessica, the wounds on her hand healed within weeks, but the memory of Bella's teeth sinking into her flesh never faded so easily. For her colleagues, too, the image lingered. Every time they stepped into the water afterward, they carried with them the sight of Bella's jaws snapping shut, a chilling reminder that the animals they loved, the animals they dedicated their lives to, could turn in an instant. And for the trainers at Shedd, one question would forever remain: was this just a one-time incident, or a warning of something more? Belugas in captivity are often marketed as safe alternatives to orcas. Their smaller size and reputation as gentle, smiling whales make them popular in aquariums around the world. Families come to see their white bodies glide gracefully through the water, and trainers describe them as playful, almost childlike in behavior. But the truth is far more complicated. Belugas are still powerful, weighing over a ton, with teeth designed to catch fish and muscles built to navigate icy seas. They are predators of the Arctic, honed by evolution for survival in one of the harshest environments on Earth. Their playful nudges, when misinterpreted, can become dangerous thrusts. Their curious bites, meant as exploration, can leave bruises, or worse. Over the years, there have been scattered reports from aquariums worldwide of belugas nipping, pushing, or pulling trainers underwater. To the public, these incidents are often brushed aside as minor accidents. But for the trainers, they are unforgettable moments of fear. In most cases, the injuries are physically minor: scrapes, bruises, shallow bites. But the psychological impact is lasting. Each moment is a chilling reminder that beneath the illusion of safety, no amount of conditioning can erase the wild inside these animals. The 2012 incident never made national headlines the way orca attacks did, but within the marine mammal community, it sent a shockwave. For decades, belugas had been branded as the gentle giants of the aquarium world, playful, safe, and family-friendly. Yet here was Bella, a beluga at Shedd Aquarium, lashing out at her trainer Jessica Morgan in a sudden act of aggression. And the public began asking if even belugas, supposedly the safe whales, could turn on their trainers. Was any marine mammal truly safe in captivity? Animal welfare groups wasted no time. To them, Jessica's injury was proof that captivity alters animals in ways we don't fully understand. They argued that stress, confinement, and artificial environments create ticking time bombs. An animal that might never attack in the wild could snap inside a concrete tank. Online, footage of belugas circling endlessly in small pools spread like wildfire, contrasted with sweeping shots of their vast Arctic habitat. Activists pressed the question, what are we really teaching children? That these intelligent creatures exist to perform tricks on command? Aquariums, of course, defended their programs. Spokespeople called the attack an unfortunate but rare incident, emphasizing the educational value of close encounters with marine life. They argued these experiences inspire conservation, and that staff are trained to manage unpredictable behavior. But behind the glossy press releases, whispers spread among trainers themselves. Many admitted, off the record, that what happened to Jessica could happen again. That no amount of training, trust, or bonding could erase the raw instinct of a whale, no matter how small or how friendly it seemed. And that unsettling truth planted a seed of doubt, not only in the public, but in the very people who work closest with the animals. Jessica Morgan's physical recovery came quickly, but the psychological weight of the incident lingered far longer. Within weeks, she was back at Shedd Aquarium, once again standing poolside with the belugas. Yet her colleagues noticed subtle changes, her movements more measured, her cues more deliberate, her eyes always tracking Bella with sharper focus. Bella herself remained part of the aquarium's daily routine, delighting audiences, splashing children in the front rows, charming families with her playful demeanor. To most visitors, she was simply a smiling, snow-white whale. Few ever realized that this same animal had once clamped down on a trainer's arm, hard enough to leave scars that would never fade. For Jessica, the bite was more than an injury. It became a reminder etched into her skin. She carried it like a warning, a scar that told a story no brochure or scripted show could ever capture. In the years that followed, she mentored younger trainers, repeating the lesson that had cost her dearly. Trust the animal, but never forget its power. The legacy of that day wasn't measured in medical reports or headlines. It was in the quiet shift it created among those who worked closest with belugas. A recognition that every moment was a balance between beauty and danger, and a reminder that in captivity, respect must always come before routine. The story of Jessica Morgan and Bella the Beluga may not echo as loudly as the infamous orca tragedies, but its warning is just as sharp. It reminds us that behind every performance, every splash, every smile, lurks the untamed truth of nature. The boundary between awe and danger, between trust and instinct, is thinner than we often dare to admit. Belugas may charm us with their songs, their playful grace, their seemingly gentle nature. Yet beneath that pale skin beats the heart of a predator, an ocean giant that carries both beauty and power. For Jessica, one bite became more than a scar. It was a lesson etched forever in her body, that respect for these animals must never be clouded by illusion. Thank you for watching. If this story opened your eyes, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more investigative deep dives into the hidden, often unsettling world of animals in captivity.